few months back I was in need of a budget audio interface, so I bought this Audient ID14 Mark II, which is being hyped as the best budget audio interface out there. But is it really as great as people say? Stick around because I'm about to tell you about the good and the bad things about it. Alright, let's show you what comes in the box first. The first thing we find is a quick start guide, then there's the unit itself, and also a USB-C cable to connect to your device. The unit is bus powered through this USB cable, so you don't need a power adapter. Note that if you don't have USB-C on your computer, you'll need to buy a separate USB-A to USB-C adapter to use this device. And besides those things, there's nothing else in the box. The unit itself feels quite sturdy with its all-metal construction and comes in a nice gunmetal grey design. The knobs feel sturdy and the switches feel like they will last for a while. On top we have individual gain knobs and phantom power switches for the preamps, some pleasantly dancing LED volume indicator lights, and a big volume knob that also has some other functions, but more about that later. Under the volume button you'll find 3 other related buttons, a button to select the speakers, a button to select the headphones, and a programmable button. In the front we have a JFET instrument input and dual headphone socket. All other connections are on the back, where we have 2 microphone line combi jacks going to the preamps, and also 4 outputs. The second pair of outputs can also be used for a second pair of speakers, so that came in handy in my studio. The unit also features an optical input, which can be used for 2 extra inputs with SPDIF, or up to 8 extra inputs through ADAT. And to finish up, we have a USB-C input to connect the unit to our computer. Hooking up the unit should be fairly simple. Connect it using the provided USB-C cable and install the software from the Audient website. However, I immediately got into issues when the software wanted to upgrade the firmware of the unit. Somehow the whole process started hanging in the middle of the upgrade. I actually had to reboot my computer and use Audient's dedicated firmware updater application to get the unit to work properly. Despite this initial hiccup, the ID14 Mark II truly shines where it matters most, the audio quality. Audient promises great specs and they do deliver. The preamps, which are the same as those in a big Audient console, are transparent and provide a good amount of gain and dynamic range. The noise floor is lower than my motivation on Monday mornings, so that's pretty great. The same can be said for the outputs. They are clean and transparent and have no noticeable noise. This is not always a given with audio interfaces at this price range. The round-trip latency of this interface is also very manageable, even though I tested this with a computer that isn't blazingly fast. The ID button can be assigned to one of a couple of functions, and sadly only one. I kind of wish they made a separate button for each function, but they make you choose between one of them. The functions you can choose from are switching between stereo and mono, dimming, switching from primary to secondary monitors, toggling talkback on or off, or activating ScrollControl, which turns the encoder into a virtual scroll wheel. This allows you to adjust compatible parameters in your DAW and other applications by hovering your mouse cursor over a control and turning the ID14's main knob. Not something I'd personally use, but if you would, let me know why in the comments. Apart from being a scroll wheel, the encoder is of course mainly used as a volume control. It controls both the volume of the main loudspeaker as well as the volume for the headphones. You first need to choose what you're actively controlling by pressing the correct button, and after that you can change its volume. You can also mute an output by pressing the encoder. I actually had to pause my session just to Google how to mute the thing. Turns out you just had to press the knob. Not exactly intuitive, but yeah. After using this interface for some time, I really find that having to select the output before you can change the volume is kind of clunky. A dedicated volume knob for the headphones would have been a lot better, but I guess Audient wanted to keep the look of the interface quite clean. However, not having a dedicated headphone dial is made worse by the fact that you cannot see where your headphone volume is at anywhere in the software or on the device. It seems like something that should be quite easy to add in the software, but for some reason Audient didn't bother. Talking about software, besides its flaws, the ID Mixer app is quite good overall, and the system of setting up cues is also quite nice. It's not too hard to set up a custom headphone mix, for example. It's very easy to customize your device's settings as well, for example configuring what the ID button does or setting the trim volume for your second pair of speakers. A cool thing is that you can also use microphones that are not connected to this interface as a talkback mic. One weird thing that I found is that the mute and solo buttons are not working on the microphones in the ID Mixer software. They sometimes even end up muting the output of my speakers entirely. Something could be misconfigured on my end, but I do think it's a bug in the software. But that's not my greatest annoyance with this device. What really clips my waveforms is that every time you power down the device, all volume settings are reset to 0. Apparently the device has no internal memory, so it cannot store your selected volume on the device. But nothing is being stored in the memory on your computer either. Even if you save your settings, the volumes are not being loaded when you load the settings that you saved. This is the case for Q volumes, headphone output volume, and also, very annoying, the second speaker trim volume. So if you set up your two sets of speakers to be the same volume, they will be at a different volume again the next time you reboot. It's quite annoying that the volume settings reset every time you start up your computer. I don't really understand why this cannot be saved in the computer's memory. I always like to keep my outputs at a consistent level, and that's quite hard to do right now, especially for headphone volume, since there's no proper volume indicator in the software. Am I being too picky here, or would this drive you crazy as well? To the people at Audient, if you happen to see this review, which you probably won't, but if you do, then please try to address this. It seems like something that should be quite easy to fix in a software update. So, is this interface worth the hype in my opinion? Well, overall this is a pretty solid audio interface with top-notch audio quality. This can be a very nice interface for guitarists, people who want to record themselves, and small project studios. However, I personally still find it a bit clunky to work with after all this time, which makes it a bit hard to recommend. Does that mean I will get rid of it? Not immediately, but if I were asked to buy a new audio interface at this price point in the future, I would probably not buy this one. Not unless Audient first fixes the issues with the volume resetting. If those issues wouldn't bother you, then I don't think you will be disappointed by this interface. So tell me in the comments, what audio interface do you swear by, and do you think sound quality is the most important, or is ease of use important as well? Alright, if you found this review helpful, please give this video a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more studio related videos in the future, hit that subscribe button and the little bell. Oh, and if you want to support me, then definitely go check out my album Freak Show. It's a producer album featuring a lot of nice artists. So definitely go check that out on your favorite streaming service. Thanks for watching.